Right. Was it Shrestha? You were next? Go ahead.
So the first question was the life story of Charanamuni. And then Charanamuni was a great sage who was born into the family of Bhrigu. One day, King Surayati came to Charanamuni's ashram with his daughter Sukanya. Sukanya, along with her friends, were picking various fruits and flowers from the forest when her eyes landed upon an earthworm hole within which there were two glowing objects. She pricked the earthworm hole with a thorn, and immediately blood began to ooze out. As a result, King Surayati and his men who were present there were unable to pass stool or urine. They sought out a reason for why such a thing would happen, and they realized that Sukanya had polluted the ashrama by poking the hole with a thorn. King Sarayati tried to appease Charanamuni in many ways, and finally he offered his daughter Sukanya to him as his wife, even though he was a very old man. Sukanya was a very chaste wife, and she took care of Charanamuni, even though he was an irritable person at many times. After some time, the Ashwini Kumars, who were experts in Ayurveda, came to Charanamuni's ashram, and here Charanamuni asked them to give him a useful life. They took Charanamuni to a special lake. The name of the lake is not specified in Srimad Bhagavatam, and they entered the lake with him as he was too thorough to bathe himself. After coming out, the Ashwini Kumaras and Charanamuni came out looking the same. Being the chaste wife that she was, Sukanya took shelter of the Ashwini Kumaras and asked her to show who her real husband was. This lake, which is unnamed, is the original fountain of youth. The Westerners took this concept and turned the fountain of youth into a concept of knowledge.
Yeah, that's why we wanted to know the story of Chayavana Muni. Because, what was the name of the lake?
It doesn't say much in the Bible.
Does it say where the lake was?
No,
It says the lake of successful.
What?
It says the lake of successful.
Successful lake. Okay, so last week we learned about Ponce de Leon, right? And he was looking for the fountain of youth. You bathe in this fountain, you become young. And I told you that the story of Chayavana Muni is about the fountain of youth. There is such a thing. And he bathed in it and he became a young man. Yeah. So you see how in Europe they knew some things, but those things originally came from India. And people are looking for it, but you have to go back to the Vedic history to find out the real origin of things. Okay, so who else wanted to read? So is there any other homework? Yeah, go ahead. Let's read all your homework first.
The second homework was read Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 17th verse, and answer the following 3 questions.
Yeah.
The first question was explain what satisfaction in the self means.
Satisfaction?
In the self.
Yeah.
The translation of the verse Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 17th verse states, "But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is fully satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty."
What does satiated mean?
Like satisfied.
Yes.
Satisfaction of the self means understanding who you really are, the soul or jiva, and understanding your constitutional position in relationship to God. When one truly understands this position, they will be no longer interested in any material infatuation, because they will be fully satisfied.
What's infatuation mean?
They want something material, basically. They're attracted to something.
Something that you're attracted to, yeah.
They will be no longer interested in any material infatuations, because they will be fully satisfied by serving the Lord. This is what is meant by satisfaction of the self. The word self-realization in the translation is key. Satisfaction in self only comes when one truly understands who they really are. When one is stuck to the false conception that the body is the identity, then they will satisfied and will be constantly yearning for sense gratification.
Why will they never be satisfied? Someone will say, "Oh, what do you mean never satisfied? I'm happy.
They'll never,
I have a big, strong body, got muscles, and I'm happy."
their satisfaction will be temporary because after some time they might grow old.
Yeah, might, for sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
The second question is explain the difference between self, lowercase s, and self, uppercase s.
Mm-hmm.
The self with the capital S is referring to the soul or the jiva. Self with the lowercase s is referring
Wait a minute. It refers to what?
to the jiva, to the soul.
With the lowercase or uppercase?
Uppercase.
Wrong. Go ahead. We'll keep reading.
The self with the lowercase s is referring to the body. In the verse of Bhagavad Gita,
Where did you get that from?
I mean, from what I understood in the translation of the things, I thought
That's called speculation. You weren't not sure. Okay, go ahead. Keep reading. Anyway, both are wrong. Both you're understanding the self with a capital and self with a small. That's all right. There's nothing wrong. It's everybody makes mistakes. That's why we're studying this. Go ahead. Let me hear what else you say.
So in the verse of Bhagavad Gita, the translation says, "But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty." And I said here the translation is referring to the jiva because it uses self with a capital S at its end.
Well, where's the capital S?
It's in the translation of the verse.
Really?
Yeah. Satisfied in the self is with a capital S.
Wow. Mine, it doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Maybe I have an older. Let me see that yellow book. Yellow. Thank you, Samart. Let's see. This is 517. 530. 317. Yeah, 317. Did anyone else have a different understanding than what Chester wrote about S, big S, small s? Yes?
It says that the big S was Paramatma and the lowercase s was Vishnu.
Yeah, where did you get that from?
I think
Huh?
I think they got it from the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah, okay, so in mine, S's are all small, and in this, they're all big. Okay. So for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, okay, there, the S is small. Huh? Yeah, it's the same as this. But see here, they're all small. Yeah. Okay, and so a person who is fully Krishna, let's read the purport carefully here. A person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness no longer has any duty to perform. Due to his being Krishna conscious, all impiety within is instantly cleansed, and effective many, many thousands of yajna performances. By such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme. You notice that Supreme has a capital S, right? His duty thus becomes is self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligation to the Vedic injunctions. Such a Krishna-conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. Okay, so to understand big S, small s, we're going to look in the 13th chapter. I'm going to see how they... You see, it's an important point, right? It's easy to be confused about this. Let me see here. Okay. Okay. 13th chapter, verse number 3. 13th chapter, verse number 3. So, if you look at that, in the purport it says, while discussing the subject of the body and the knower of the body, the soul, small s, and the supersoul, big S. You see that? We shall find three different topics of study. The Lord, the living entity, so Lord is capitalized, L is capitalized, living entities, and small l, and matter. In every field of activities, in everybody, there are two souls, the individual soul, small s, and the supersoul, big S. See it? See it? Because the supersoul, big S, is the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme is big S, Krishna. Krishna says, I am the knower, but I am not the individual knower of the body. I am the super knower. I am present in everybody as Paramatma or a super soul. Again, big S. Okay, so that's one place. Now let's look somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's look at page 13th chapter, 29th verse, and 30th verse. Actually, text 30. Okay, 13:30. It says, One who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self, small s, does nothing, actually sees. Now in the purport it says, this body is made by material nature under the direction of the supersoul, big S, and whatever activities are going on in respect to one's own body are not his doing. Whatever one is supposed to do, either for happiness or for distress, one is forced to do because of the bodily constitution. The self, small s, however, is outside all these bodily activities. This body is given according to one's past desires. To fulfill desires, one is given the body with which he acts accordingly. Practically speaking, the body is a machine designed by the Supreme, big S, Lord, to fulfill desires. Because of desires, one is put into difficult circumstances to suffer or to enjoy. This transcendental vision of the living entity, when developed, makes one separate from bodily activities. One who has such a vision is an actual seer with a small s. Okay, so the big S always differentiates the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the small s, which refers to the jiva. Okay?
I said big S was like self-realization.
I know. That's why we're going over this, right? And it's not your fault that you made a mistake. It's easy to get confused. That's why I wanted you to. Huh?
How come Paramatma is described as self? Because we're not Paramatma.
Well, there's the Supreme Self and the dependent self. Paramatma is also a person, right? So your question is, why is Paramatma referred to as self? Yeah, because he's the Supreme Self. Self means a person.
So the big S is for the super soul, and then
Or for Krishna.
yeah,
And the small s
is our
is referring to the living entity. Therefore, when it says Supreme Lord, S is always capitalized. There's another place where he actually has both S's in self. Let's see. All right. Well, I'll keep looking for that. Okay, 1 second. Let me just look at my older Bhagavad Gita version. Self. Okay. Okay, let's look at 13th chapter, 25th verse. Okay, in the purport, no whispering. Okay, so what do I say? 25th verse. Okay, so in the purport, it says near the middle of the purport, The Sankhya philosophers analyzed this material world into 24 elements, and they placed the individual soul, small s, as the 25th item. When they are able to understand the nature of the individual soul, 20 small s, to be transcendental to the material elements, they are able to understand also that above the individual soul, small s, there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a big S. He is the 26th element. Thus, gradually, they also come to the standard of devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Okay? So the 25th element is the individual soul with a small s, and the 26th element is the Supreme Soul with a big S. Okay? And whenever the self has a capital letter, it's referring to Krishna or Paramatma. And whenever S is small, it's referring to the Jiva. Okay, we settled that. So how many people got it right besides Agastya? Yes? You got it right? Kind of. Yeah, it comes from Krishna.
Wait, Agastya got it right?
What? All right. So then continue your homework, Shasta. And Samar.
So then the third question is, explain what it means by your Buddha becomes self-illuminated.
Self-illuminated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Between the purport of Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 17th verse, Srimad Bhagavatam wrote, his duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligation to the Vedic injunctions. Here what Srila Prabhupada means by his duty becomes self-illuminated is that Lord Krishna frees one from their duty. So
Oh, wait a minute. Okay. If you look at 1328, it's very clear there. Let's take a look at 1328. It says, in the middle of the purport, it says, but actually it is not so. After the destruction of the body, both the soul, small s, and the supersoul, big S, exist, and they go on eternally in many various moving and non-moving forms. There it is soul and supersoul. You see it? 1328. 28. You see it? Does everyone see it? Everyone has the Bhagavad Gita? Samarth, did you see it? 1328? In the middle of the paragraph, it says, both the soul, small s, and the supersoul, big S, exist, and they go on eternally in many various moving and non-moving forms. Is it like that in your book?
Yeah.
Haribo, Haribo. Okay, so now you know for sure. Small s is the jiva, big S is the supersoul. Okay, go ahead now.
his duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to the Vedic injunctions. Here what Srila Prabhupada means by his duty becomes self-illuminated is that Lord Krishna frees one from their duty, so they do not have to follow the Vedic injunctions. When one is fully
Frees
satisfied-
one from their duty? What does that mean?
So like in the previous verse,
Yeah.
the 16th verse,
Yeah.
it says how the duty is to perform yajna, and that yajna, the end goal of performing yajna is to become Krishna conscious. So when
But is it the Sankirtan movement, a Sankirtan, a yajna? It's called Sankirtan
Yeah.
yajna. So, in other words, a person would be freed from self-interested yagyas to pure, let's say, yagya of pleasing Krishna. You're not going to be free of performing yagyas. Right? Go ahead. You just have to correct this language a little bit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Here what Srila Prabhupada means by his duty becomes self-illuminated is that Lord Krishna frees one from their duty so that they do
Mundane duties.
from their mundane duties so that they do not have to follow the Vedic injunctions.
Do not have to follow the Vedic injunction.
They have no obligation to follow the
Vedic injunctions concerning self-interested yagyas.
They do not have to follow the Vedic injunctions concerning self-interested yajnas.
Yes.
When one is fully satisfied in the self, then Krishna will rid them of their duty such a person is so satisfied that in the self they have no attachment to material infatuations. They are only attached to serving the Lord, for that is the highest satisfaction.
Yes. So, the Lord is a self, and the jiva is a self, right? So now when you become satisfied in the self only, that means you do not believe that you are the body. You believe that you're a soul, and your soul is eternal. So when you're satisfied in the self, you're fully satisfied in relishing your relationship with Krishna. You don't need anything else. Therefore, you don't have to perform any mundane duties from that point on. Oh, what's a mundane duty? Like, for example, the Turkey Fest. You know what a Turkey Fest is? Augusta, you know what a Turkey Fest is? No. It's Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, right? So on Thanksgiving, everybody buys a turkey. And they eat it, right? Or most people do. Well, at least 60 million people do, because they kill 60 million turkeys on for Thanksgiving. Now, that for some people is a duty, right? You have to have turkey on Thanksgiving, right? It's a tradition, you know. It's so-called the pilgrims on their first Thanksgiving, they ate turkeys. That may not be true, right? So those type of duties, one is free from those type of duties, right? They're based on custom and habit, or duties that are based on mundane performance of yagyas. One's freed from all those duties. But one's not freed from the duty of following the regulative principles and fasting on Ekadasis and things like that. So let's not, let's not confuse no more duties, meaning I don't have to, chant my 16 rounds anymore. No, that's always a duty. And following the regulative principles, it's always a duty. But no more mundane duties, right? Like buying a turkey on Thanksgiving, or doing Satyanarayana Puja for one's personal benefit so that their business does better, or this or that. So those type of duties one is free from those type of duties. Just like if someone dies and the family calls up some pundit in India and he says, what is your gotra? Gotra means your family tradition, so someone will say, oh, my gotra is Bharadraj gotra, or my gotra is Devi gotra, or something like that, right? So they say, oh, you're Bharadraj gotra, then don't go to the temple for 1 month, don't chant Hare Krishna, don't do anything like that for 1 month. Now see, that is a mundane duty for materialistic people. So then, oftentimes people call me up and say, Prabhu, we called our pundit in India, and our grandmother died, and he said that we shouldn't come to the temple for 1 month, we shouldn't chant Hare Krishna, and we shouldn't offer any food. Should I follow this? So what do you think the answer is? Why is it no? It's not exactly material, but it's called a subordinate type of duty for people who are engaged, who might be pious, but they're still engaged in sense gratification. But for a devotee, they should never stop chanting Hare Krishna. Should you stop chanting Hare Krishna if you're a devotee? No. Should you stop coming to the temple if you're a devotee? No. This is where people who have a mixed life. They do some pious activity, they also do impious activity. And for them, it's a type of tapasya when a member of the family dies. But for devotees, those are, again, subordinate or less important duties that are usually materially motivated. So you don't have to follow those type of duties. Therefore, here it says, one who's satisfied in himself only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. So that no duty is explained in the purport. A person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness no longer has any duty to perform. Okay, can you stop holding hands? Or you want to show everyone how you were holding hands? The Krishna and Augusta were holding hands. Let's say, you want to show them how you were holding hands? Then don't do that anymore. Okay. Okay. So, for him there is no duty. So, this is talking about a person who is fully Krishna conscious. Now let's say you're not fully Krishna conscious, you're only half Krishna conscious. Then you would have to follow these lesser duties. But when it says no one that no longer has any duty to perform, it's talking about lesser duties, like, not coming to the temple for 1 month if someone in your family dies, or not chanting Hare Krishna for 1 month if someone in your family dies. Those are lesser duties for people who are not fully Krishna conscious. Okay? Due to his being Krishna conscious, all impiety within is instantly cleansed, an effect of many, many thousands of yajna performances. This is the main point. Okay, Tulsi, do you understand that? What do you understand? Can you give her a microphone? Like what? Let me read it again. Due to his being Krishna conscious, all impiety, meaning all sinful things, within is instantly cleansed, and this is an effect of many, many thousands of yajna performances. By such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme, big S. His duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligation to Vedic injunctions. Such a Krishna-conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. So, what does that mean? What is it about duty? Yeah. When one what? Chants what? The Mahamantra? Hold close. I can't hear you. Yes. And what?
or cleansed.
Yes. So then, why does it say his duty? First of all, it says becomes no longer has any duty to perform previously. And then next he says, his duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord. So does he give up having any duties?
No, we just have less.
Prescribed duty.
Quiet. What?
We have less.
Less? What are his duties? What duties did he give up, and what are the duties, the less duties? Okay, it's just that. Yeah, go ahead. Yes. So what are those mundane duties? That's in the case if someone dies in your family, right? Someone would have to follow those mundane duties. Mundane duties are all duties that are all religious activities which are materially motivated. Write this down. Mundane duties equals all religious activities which are materially motivated. Mundane duties. Mundane, M-U-N-D-A-I-N-E. Mundane means materially motivated. That's what it means. Okay, so what did you write down? All duties that are? Yes. So, mundane, write this word down, M-U-N-D-A-N-E, mundane, M-U-N-D-A-N-E, means lacking interest or excitement, dull, of this earthly world rather than a heavenly or spiritual one. So, basically, it's mundane means all materialistic endeavors, which are usually boring. And mundane as opposed to spiritual. Mundane would be materialistic endeavors as opposed to spiritual endeavors. So you see how confusing this subject is? On the one hand, it says, gives up all duties. On the other hand, it says, his duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligation to the Vedic injunctions. But what injunctions are you talking about? All Vedic injunctions that are materially motivated. Yeah, it's a liquid sugar, yeah. Okay, give your obeisances first. You did? Yeah. It's pretty quick. And go look at the deities a little bit. Take the Madanga with you so nobody else takes the Madanga.
Pulling his bag strap and he started.
Okay. Wait, so do I start or do I just directly start? Oh, wait, start? Okay. And each line is twice, right?
That's what happened to me last.
Your mom? No, I don't.
I don't. You're,
Oh, okay.
you're like older than me. Wait, who's older than you? He's 15 and she's like 14.
Stop.
Stop to the.
Monitor the cake.
Oh, okay. It's not turned on.
Okay, that's
Just because your mom is hearing it on live doesn't mean that no one else is hearing it on live.
I'm saying they're gonna hear everything you're saying into the mic. So don't say anything, right? Like,
Each line is twice, right?
I mean, you can do whatever format.
I'm trusting you, Ria. The microphone is not even on. Should I start?
I think so. No, after like. No.
No, when they turn off. They didn't turn it off though.
Well, they will.
No, in art they don't randomly say. They don't do that.
My dad will on it.
Tell them to on it fast. Art is gonna be done when class is gonna start.
He's turning the camera. When it's finished, yes. If it starts a new song, then just start.
Okay. Okay. Right now then, okay. Yashomati Nandana Brajavara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana. Yashomati Nandana Brajavara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana. Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara. Gopi Paranadana Madana Manohara. Kaliya Damana Vidana. Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasa. Amala Harina Mamiya Vilasa. Vipina Purandara Navina Nagara Bora. Vamsi Badana Suvasa. Brajajana Palana Surakula Nashana Brajajana Palana Surakula Nashana Nanda Godana Rakhavala Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Govinda Madhava Navanita Taskara Sundarananda Gopala Sundarananda Gopala Jamuna Tata Chara Gopi Basana Hara Jamuna Tata Chara Gopi Basana Hara Rasa Rasika Kripa Moya Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Nata Bhara Shri Radha Vallabha Vrindavana Nata Bhara Bhakti Vinoda Shaya Bhakti Vinoda Shaya Yashomati Nandana Brajabara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Yashomati Nandana Brajavara Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Jaya Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram Jaya Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol
Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivja Kacharya Stota Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivja Kacharya Stota Shata Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupada Srila Gaurkishora Das Babaji Maharaj Ki. Jayam Pada Srila Satchitananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki. Jai Vishnupada Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki. Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Sakura Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radha Kud Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki. Antakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki. ISKCON Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Gaur Premande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. So mundane means something that's material and not spiritual. Okay, so you see how this can be confusing, big S, small s, and mundane duty and spiritual duty. So there's something called understanding from context. Let's write that down. Understanding from context. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what it says. Understanding from context. How to understand context instead of just responding. When you are reading and come across an unfamiliar word, you can often look at the context to help you figure out at least an approximate definition for that word. The other words in the rest of the sentence or paragraph influence and clarify the unfamiliar word and provide its context. Okay, so what do you understand by the phrase understanding context? Yes, Krishna. Krishna 2. He used to be Krishna 1. Right?
When you read
Give him the microphone.
When you read a book and you don't understand a word, like it's a new word, then
You read a whole book,
no, like reading a page or an article or something like that.
a sentence.
Yeah, a sentence, and you don't understand the word in that sentence.
There's an unknown word. There's a word that you don't understand.
A word that you haven't yet heard, then you can look at the words from like next to it or after it to understand what that word means. Like let's say you're doing like reading something about a forest or something, and it says something about it, like let's say it's an animal name, but you don't know what it is, then you can like tell that it's probably an animal by
Looking at like the context.
Yeah, that's generally correct, what you said, yeah. And the definition is that when you are reading and come across an unfamiliar word, you can often look at the context to help you figure out at least an approximate definition of that word. The other words in the rest of the sentence or paragraph influence and clarify the unfamiliar word and provide its context. Okay, so we have previously studied what's called higher swabhava and lower swabhava. Do you remember that? What does swabhava mean? Look it up in your notes if you can find it. Anybody know what lower swabhava, higher swabhava means? Ria, you don't know? Huh? Okay. Anybody? Okay, so swabhava means basically duty. Okay?
How do you spell it again?
S-V-A. B-H-A-V-A. We already studied this, and it's part of your homework, in one of the homeworks that we did. So lower swabhava are duties that you have to perform if you're not Krishna conscious. You might be a little bit Krishna conscious, but you're not really fully Krishna conscious. And higher swabhava is duties you perform when you are fully Krishna conscious. That's why this word duty confused us in the purport, because at one point it says, in purport to 3:17, it says, "For one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there's no duty." But in the purport, it says, "A person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness no longer has any duty to perform." But then a little later it says, "His duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to the Vedic injunctions." So by reading reading context, or as you say, understanding context, one place it talks about duties that you don't have to perform anymore, and another place it talks about duties that become self-illuminated. And then the key to understanding from the context is, it says, "And therefore he no longer has any obligation to the Vedic injunctions." Such a Krishna conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, first verse, the second verse says, "Completely rejecting all material activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth." So, there are some duties that you have to perform when you're not Krishna conscious that are materially motivated. But there are other duties that you can perform when you're fully Krishna conscious. So one of those, the lower one, is called lower swabhava. And if we look up again, Bhagavad Gita, 1 second. The swabhava and the swadharma. Let's look up 335. Bhagavad Gita 335. And 335, who wants to read?
I can read it.
Okay, wait a minute. You didn't raise your hand. Let's see. Okay. We'll let Ria. Go ahead. Ria, you read. You read part of it, and Samarth will read another part. Go ahead. Read the translation of the verse, yes.
It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even
though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. Destruction is in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Report. One should therefore discharge his prescribed duties in full Krishna consciousness, rather than those prescribed for others. Materially prescribed duties are duties enjoined according to one's philosophical condition.
What? No. Psychophysical. It didn't say philosophical. And in fact, that's not even a word. Philosophical. How did you pronounce that word?
He said philosophical.
Philosophical. That's not a word. No. It's psychophysical. What does that mean? Psychophysical. Shasta. Yes. Psycho is referring to the mind, and psycho is not some crazy guy who's going to blow up a building or something. It's psychos in this context. See, in other contexts, the word psycho refers to some crazy person, right? But here it's referring to a person who, it's referring to materially oriented or mind oriented as well, and psycho means the mind, and physical means the body. So the lower duties in life are based on the psychophysical condition. And then, if you understand what that means by context, the next part of it is a comma, and then it says, under the spell of the modes of material nature. So as long as a person is influenced by the modes of material nature, we have to take into account their psychophysical condition. And according to that, there are certain duties that are prescribed to help them gradually rise above the influence of the modes of material nature. So that's called lower swabhava, or lower swadharma, the lower duties that you have to perform. And then there's a higher swabhava or swadharma for people who are fully Krishna conscious. Yes.
So lower Svabhava is like lower duties,
No, lower swabhava is for people still influenced by the modes of material nature.
duties for people still.
Duties that people have to perform because they're still influenced by the modes of material nature. Like let's say I meet a person and I say, you should chant 16 rounds. He said, what? How long does that take? It takes 2 hours. 2 hours? I don't have 2 hours in my day to sit down and chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I'm not going to do that. So, therefore, that's the higher swabhava, minimum 16 rounds. Lower swabhava, you can chant 1 round a day. So how long will that take? Well, it'll take you about 10 minutes. Okay, I can do that. Okay? But it's a duty, though. See, that's the difference. People who don't follow duties, like, let's say, there's a homeless person, or let's say there's a very rich person, and he doesn't follow any duties. He doesn't wake up early. He doesn't take a bath every day. He drinks beer and liquor and smokes marijuana, but he makes a lot of money, and he's got a big house and a big car. No. I said a rich guy. All right? But he's not following, he's doing whatever he wants to do. There's no regulation to what he's doing. It's not, the only duty he's following is to follow his lust, anger, and greed. Well, but a person who follows duties, like let's say you're in school, what is one of the duties that you have to follow? You have to be on time. And then when you're changing class, you only have 5 minutes. It's a duty. Otherwise, you get some negative response. What? You get a tardy.
And if you
Okay.
get a certain amount of tardies, your parents get called into court or something.
If you get a certain amount of tardies, your parents are called
Yeah.
to see the teacher or
And
somebody.
also, they made this thing in my school that even one tardy, at the end of the day, they get a call, like an automated call, that tells them that,
Tells your parents.
yeah.
that you were tardy, changing clothes. So you see, you have duties. This is what differentiates a human being from an animal. Animals don't have any duties. Like, for example, if an animal jaywalks, you know what jaywalking means? If an animal jaywalks, do they get a ticket? No. If a human being jaywalks, can they get a ticket? Yes. You see? So the animal doesn't have duties. Because why? Because people know animals are stupid. Well, stupid as far as following duties. Like, for example, cows. Cows will poop and pass pee anytime, anywhere, even where they're sleeping. Right? Would you pass pee and poop where you sleep? Would you just sort of pull down your shorts when you're in bed and, just poop right there? No, but cows do that. Yeah, and you can't. I mean, you can train a dog and a cat to poop and pee in one place, but it's impossible. I mean, as far as I've seen, maybe I'm wrong. It's almost impossible to train the cows to poop and pee in one place. They'll just poop and pee anywhere, even though they're sleeping right there. They just poop. You see, so the dogs and cats, they don't get tickets for jaywalking. But if you jaywalk, you could get a ticket, right? So the regulation of activity differentiates a human being from an animal. Now, let's say there's human beings that are not regulated. Are they actually a human being? Well, they're a human being that's living like an animal. So, like in your school, do all the kids bathe every day?
No. I was like, I take a bath in the morning every day. They're like, what? Who does that?
Well, it sounds like you're wrong, right?
Yeah. Actually, like 3 kids. And I'm just like, I take a bath every morning. They're like, what? That's gross.
That's gross. They say it's gross. So you see, are they human beings? No, they're not following rules. Human being will follow rules. Just like there's like homeless people. There was a picture of a homeless person who was in a Safeway, and he just pulled his pants down and pooped right in the aisle.
What?
Yeah, this was in San Francisco. Oh, is that okay because it's San Francisco? It almost sounded like, oh, that's okay, it's San Francisco. Now, you see, a person who would do something like that, they're living like an animal. So, would you ever take your pants down and poop in a Safeway? No, you would ask, where's the bathroom, right? So you see, the difference between an animal and a human being is human beings follow rules. They have duties that they follow. Now, those duties might not be superior duties. They're inferior duties, inferior swabhava as opposed to the superior swabhava. But they're duties. They follow rules. Like, you have to follow rules. You have to be on time to come to school. You only have a certain amount of time to change classrooms, and so forth. You have to do homework. Otherwise, they report it to your parents that you're not doing your duty. But is that your eternal duty? No, it's a temporary duty, but it's helping you differentiate yourself from being an animal. There are 2-legged animals. There are 4-legged animals. There's 100-legged centipedes, right? But if you're a 2-legged animal called a human being, you can differentiate yourself from the rest of the animal world by following duties. Okay? And if you don't follow duties, you don't bathe every day, you just do whatever you want, then you're living like an animal, and you'll take birth next life as an animal. Okay, so here, now Rio is reading. Go ahead. One should start from the beginning of the purport. One should
therefore
discharge his prescribed duties in full Krishna consciousness rather than those prescribed for others.
See, you can see, Krishna conscious people have different prescribed duties than other people do, right? Go ahead.
Materially prescribed duties are duties enjoined according to one's psychophysical condition under the spell of the modes of material nature.
So materially prescribed duties are for people who are still influenced by the modes of material nature. What are those modes?
Goodness, passion, daughter.
Right. Okay? Go ahead. Spiritual.
Spiritual duties are as ordered by the spiritual master for the transcendental service of Krishna.
Okay, so now you can see Krishna conscious people have different duties. Prescribed. What does prescribed mean?
Given to you by
Wait, don't. Let me call on you. Yes, Chestnut. By a superior authority. Yes. And something that you have to follow. Go ahead, Ria.
But whether material or spiritual, one should stick to his prescribed duties even up to death, rather than imitate another's prescribed duties.
So if your prescribed duty is to be on time to school, right? Then, but you see that other kids sometimes come late because they have a medical reason for coming late. So you shouldn't imitate them. You shouldn't say, well, so-and-so comes in at 9 o'clock. Or why do I have to come in 7:30 every morning? Well, so-and-so has a medical, what do you call, not excuse, but a medical deferral. Or, because they have a medical condition, they're allowed to come in later. So you can't imitate that person. You have to follow your prescribed duty. You don't have a medical reason to come late, you see. So you shouldn't imitate other people's prescribed duties. You should perform those duties that are according to your psychophysical condition. What does psycho mean, Ria? No. It's the mind. It means the mind. It means the condition that your mind and your body is in at this present time. Okay? Psycho by itself means crazy people. But when it says psychophysical, it means the mind. Okay? Go ahead.
Duties on the spiritual platform and duties on the material platform may be different, but the principle of following the authorized direction is always good for the performer.
Okay, see, that's a very important statement. That means there are spiritual duties and there are duties on the spiritual platform and duties on the material platform, and they may be different. But the principle of following the authorized direction is always good for the performer. What does that mean? The principle of following the authorized direction. Shivani. Of following authorized direction. Can you give her a microphone? Following directions up.
Follow the directions from authority when you benefit from it?
Yes, exactly right. Yes. It's good for the performance. It's good for you to follow. Like if your mother and father say, okay, Srivani, you're spending too much time on the internet. So we're going to limit you to only a half an hour a day, and that's mainly just to get your homework assignment from school. It's not to talk to Ria or talk to Pravalika or talk to Shrestha or talk to this one or talk to... It's just to get your homework. Okay, so you're getting a prescribed duty by an authorized, it's an authorized direction. In other words, you're getting a direction from an authority. And it says here that duties on a spiritual platform and duties on a material platform may be different, but the principle of following the authorized direction is always good for the performer. So you think it's good that you only spend a half an hour a day on the internet, and mainly to get your homework, rather than talking nonsense with different people. What do you think? If you were a mother, would you tell your child that? Or would you say, you can talk as much as you want on the internet, you can spend, 8 hours a day on the internet, it's okay. Would you say that to your child? No. Would you say 6 hours is okay? You don't know? If your child is a bad kid, you would say yes? You don't want your child to be a bad kid? Yes, you want your child to be a bad kid. So no, if you were a parent, you wouldn't want your kid to be on the internet all day long. You'd say it's bad for you, right? So if your mom is saying or dad's saying, don't be on the internet all the time. So is it good for you or bad for you to not be on the internet a lot? It's bad? It's good, right? Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Ria.
When one is under the spell of the modes of material nature, one should follow the prescribed rules for his particular situation and should not imitate others. For example, a Brahmana who is in the mode of goodness is non-violent, whereas a Kshatriya who is in the mode of passion is allowed to be violent. As such, for a Kshatriya, it is
So
better-
can a Kshatriya bully you? Does he have the permission to bully you? So what does it mean that he's allowed to be violent? Yes?
His duty is to protect his kingdom. He is allowed to fight.
Very good. Very good. That's right. Haribol. As such,
For a Kshatriya, it is better to be vanquished following the rules of violence than to imitate a Brahmana who follows the principles of non-violence.
so what do you mean vanquished? What's that mean? Vanquished. Vanquished means to be defeated. He may be killed. Okay, now who is going to read next? Samart, go ahead. Everyone has to cleanse his heart. Go ahead. Everyone has to cleanse his heart by a gradual process.
Everyone has to cleanse his heart by a gradual process, not abruptly.
What's abruptly mean? Okay, Arush? Quickly, yes. Go ahead.
However, when one transcends the modes of material nature and is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, he can perform anything and everything under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master.
Can you smoke marijuana, therefore? Would the spiritual master ever tell you to smoke marijuana?
No.
Yeah. So when it says anything and everything, it doesn't mean anything sinful, only anything and everything that's favorable for Krishna consciousness. Yes. Go ahead.
In that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, the Kshatriya may act as a Brahmana or a Brahmana may act as a Kshatriya.
Any examples of that? Do you know any example of it? It's a hard question. Yeah, there's Vishwamrita Muni. He was a Kshatriya, but he wanted to become a Brahmana. And eventually he did. And Dronacharya is a Brahmana, but he was teaching how to fight, like a Kshatriya. Because when you're in the complete stage of Krishna consciousness, The Kshatriya may act as a Brahmana, or a Brahmana may act as a Kshatriya. Okay, go ahead.
In the transcendental stage, the distinctions of the material world do not apply. For example, Vishwamitra was originally a Kshatriya, but later he acted as a Brahmana, whereas Parshurama was a Brahmana, but later acted as a Kshatriya. Being transcendentally situated, they could do so, but as long as one is on the material platform, he must perform his duties according to the modes of material nature. At the same time, he must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness.
So, what does it mean that being on a material platform, what does that mean? Being on the material platform, Samarth, what does that mean? Being on the material platform. What does that mean? Read context. Read context. What does it mean from the context?
So it says, being transcendentally situated, they could do so, but as long as one is on the material platform, he must perform his duties according to the modes of material nature.
So what does it mean, material platform, being on a material platform? Read context.
Like the material world.
No. Okay, well, looks like Krishna 1 has got his hand up with a lot of enthusiasm. So what's the answer, Krishna 1?
When you're in the modes of when you're in the modes of material nature, you're
Yeah, modes of material nature. It means you're still under the influence of the modes of material nature. You just read it, but you didn't understand what I said by context. What does it mean by context?
Reading like what's before.
Oh, Before or after?
Yeah.
And context means there's going to be other words after the word you don't understand that will clarify it or even define it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Okay. And then finish?
At the same time, he must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness.
What does that mean? In other words, he's still on the material platform. What does that mean to have a full sense of Krishna consciousness? Does it mean that he's fully Krishna conscious?
No, like he must.
Anybody else? Really?
He has.
He must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness. What does that mean? Although he's on the material platform. Speak a little louder.
He has to perform his duties according to the modes of nature.
No, it doesn't answer the question. He has to perform his duties according to the modes of material nature. At the same time, he must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness. Anybody else want to try? Okay, Shrestha. You see how difficult English can be? Just because you know how to read doesn't mean you understand. You have to understand also. And oftentimes you have to understand from the context. And context, they have a very limited definition of context in the official definition. Context could include everything that came before also. Go ahead.
So this is talking about. It says being transcendentally situated, they could do so, but as long as one is in a material platform, he must perform his duties according to the modes of material nature. At the same time, he must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness. That means that one should perform their material duties since they're under the modes of material nature. They still have to perform their material duties, but at the same time, they should also perform their spiritual duties. They should make sure that the duties that they're performing are in line with Krishna consciousness.
And you're close. It's not exactly, but you're close. Okay, Krishna with a big smile, and after it's Shivani. Actually, it's Shrivani first because she had her hand up first. Go ahead. That's all right. We want to hear you. Ladies first.
I'm just taking a guess. I don't think my answer is exactly right.
That's all right.
Is it that along with your material work, like along with your job and along with bringing money to the table, you also have to like chant, and you also have to like keep an equal balance between your material and spiritual life?
It's close. Like Shrestha's answer, it's close. Go ahead, let's see what Krishna's going to say.
When performing your material, not material, but it says you have to perform your duties according to the modes of material nature. You have to have a full sense of Krishna consciousness, like you have to be Krishna consciousness while performing those duties, somewhere like in your
Okay, so you're close also. I mean, the idea is a full sense of Krishna consciousness. You have to know what the goal of Krishna consciousness is. That's what it's saying. So the goal of Krishna consciousness is to go back to Godhead, or to be fully Krishna conscious. So what does that mean? That means that you're still under the modes of material nature. So therefore you're going to follow the lower swabhava, or lower set of duties, to help you gradually rise up to the level of being fully Krishna conscious. But you have to know what it means to be fully Krishna conscious. That means that you're going to be thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day. Right now you only think of Krishna maybe a half an hour a day. But you know what the goal of Krishna consciousness is to become fully Krishna conscious, a full sense of Krishna consciousness. That means that you're going to be 24 hours a day, whatever you do, whatever you think, whatever, all the activities you perform, it's going to be to please Krishna. Right now it's only half an hour a day, but you want to be Krishna conscious, and therefore you're willing to follow rules and regulations to help you be elevated to a higher state of Krishna consciousness. Now, there are different levels of these rules. This is going to be explained in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. There's different types of sacrifices or yagyas that you perform. Like, for example, maybe you don't want to chant Hare Krishna, but you're willing to give a donation. Maybe you don't want to just eat only prasadam, but you're willing to eat prasadam at least once a week, right? So, but therefore, you say, well, I can't follow it all the time, but I'll follow it partially. So that's a lower, but you have a full sense of Krishna consciousness. You know that it's right to follow it all the time. And you know that the goal is to become fully Krishna conscious, to develop love of Krishna. You know that. And you're going to try and take small steps, let's put it like that. Knowing what the real goal is, and knowing also that you're not capable of doing it right away, but you're going to gradually do it. Now, you don't have to be like that. You could say, well, why should I gradually do it? Why don't I go all the way? But not everyone's willing to do that right away. But they should at least have a full sense of Krishna consciousness. That means knowing that the goal is to develop pure love for Krishna, and 24 hours a day meditate on Krishna by directing all your activities to pleasing the Lord. That's the full sense of Krishna consciousness. You might not be able to do it right away, so you're going to take small steps toward that goal, but you know that that's the goal and that's the right thing. That means having a full sense of Krishna consciousness. Okay. So, who else did their homework? Okay, Arush.
I have 2 questions.
Okay. So after this class, which will end up at, we're going to try and end up by 10, prasadam will be served for all the kids offered by Adidev Prabhu. If you don't know who Adidev is, then you'll find out soon. All kids are requested to stay back after the class. Okay, that's why we're going to end the class a little earlier so you can have prasadam that's been cooked and offered by Adidev. Okay, now this is a suspense, who is Adidev? I'm not going to tell you. Okay, go ahead, Arish.
So the first question is related to what happens to your consciousness when it is purified. When your consciousness is purified, you start to chant more rounds, become sincere to serve Krishna, participate in kirtans, become regularly, come to Mangalarti, do regular devotional service, pray to Krishna always, do Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Bhakti Vaishnavanam Dasam Sakramata Nivedanam, and as per Bhagavad Gita 3.17 purport, it states, such a Krishna conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, woman, and so on. In fact,
Does that mean that you'll hate women? No. I mean, when it says woman, it not only means someone who is a woman, it means any object of sense gratification, right? It could be a man for a woman, or it could be a woman for a man, or it can be any object of sense gratification. No more interested in sense gratification, basically. That's what it means. And wine means you get intoxicated and act like an idiot, right? So you're no longer interested in acting like an idiot. And what does it say? Wine, women, and what was the last thing? No longer interested in. Read that again, what you said.
with wine, woman,
And
and similar
infatuations and similar nonsense things that you might be attracted to because your friends do it. But you're no longer interested in that. They say, oh, it's so good to eat meat. You don't eat meat? Oh, you don't know how good this tastes, Madhava. What do you say? Everybody in your school, huh? Shh, that's a lot of pressure. How many kids are in your school?
2,000.
Most, yeah. See, you're under pressure all the time by this. Oh, you don't know how good it is, eating meat. So that means it's infatuation of other people, things that they're attracted to, and you might be attracted to it because so many others are attracted to it. You're starting to think, wow, well, if everybody else is doing it, maybe there's something, maybe they're right and I'm wrong. Maybe Krishna is wrong and they're right. No. Just like okay, write this down. This is your homework. Follow the lemming. Follow, F-O-L-L-O-W. The lemming, L-E-M-M-I-N-G.
Follow the learning.
Okay, this is a very important thing. And Madhava, you have to learn what this means. Follow the lemming. I'm not going to tell you what it means. You're going to have to look it up. L-E-M-M-I-N-G. Follow the lemming. You're going to really learn English now. You're going to be way ahead of everybody else. Your friend will say, well, you don't know how good meat is. And you're going to say, you're a lemming. You say, what? What's that? So why don't you learn English, idiot? Don't say that. So now you're going to learn something that everybody else doesn't know. You would have to go to college to know what this means. To follow the lemming. You got that? Wrote it down? Follow the lemming? Okay, you have to look it up. Okay, so, yes, so now who is next? Okay, one more question. Hurry up, we have to finish the class now. So the first homework is look up what it means, follow the lemming. Anybody know what it means? Anybody, any ladies know what it means? You know what it means? What? Kind of. No, kind of doesn't count. Go ahead.
Explain what is satisfaction in the self. In the translation
The self has a big S or small s?
big S.
Big S?
Small.
Small, yeah.
In the translation of Bhakti Gita 3.17, it states, but for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated.
What? Satisfied. Satiated. That means satisfied.
For whom there is no duty. The satisfaction in big self means one who is satisfied by rendering devotional service for Krishna's pleasure. The satisfaction small self means one who is trying to enjoy by sense gratification.
Okay. All right. Anyone else did their homework? Whoa. Okay. Pravalika. Pravalika's smiling. She's happy that she has a chance to read her homework. That's good.
So the homework was to write the story of Javanani
Yeah.
and read Bhagavad Gita 3.17, answer the questions, what is satisfaction in the self, what is self lowercase, and what is self uppercase, and what happens when your consciousness is purified, and what does it mean by your duty becomes self-illuminated.
Very good.
So the story of Javanani is, Javanani was from the family of Brigumuni, and one day King Saryati, along with his daughter Sukanya, visited the ashram of Javanani. When they arrived at the ashram, Sukanya saw two glowing substances within a hole of earthworms, and she pierced those two glowing substances.
Within an ant,
Yeah.
ant hill. So it was above the ground. It looked like a big mound, right? And there was two glowing things,
Yeah.
and she became curious. Curiosity killed the cat. Write this down. Curiosity killed the cat. Curiosity. Curiosity killed the cat. What does that mean? Curiosity killed the cat. Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sanskriti, yeah. Like, for example, you have an example.
You're curious about how fire feels, and you put your hand over it and then get burned.
Good example. Yeah. Very good. There's a classical example in the Panchatantra. There was once a monkey that went to a woodworker's workshop when the woodworker was away. And the woodworker was sawing a piece of wood according to its length, and he didn't finish. So he put a wedge where he stopped. What's a wedge? It's like a triangle piece of wood, and you can put it so it separates the two parts that are, of the wood. You haven't finished cutting completely, so it just keeps it separate, so you don't have to, have to put your saw back in, difficultly, So anyway, so the monkey came. He was doing monkey business. What's monkey business, Samart? Huh? What's monkey business? Nonsense. Yes, Madhava knows what monkey business is. So he was doing his monkey business, and he sees this wedge in between these two pieces of wood where the carpenter stopped cutting, right? So he said, "What is this nonsense?" He said. So he starts playing with it, and he knocks it out, and the two pieces of wood come together and cut his tail off. And he starts screaming and runs away. So that's the story of the tailless monkey. How did he lose his tail? How did he lose his tail? Yeah, why was he playing with the wedge? Yeah, he was curious. Just like sometimes kids are curious. They say, "Gee, I think it's fun playing with matches." So they find some matches in the kitchen or somewhere, and they go upstairs into their mother and father's closet. And they start lighting the matches and putting it on the clothes. All of a sudden, the whole house starts burning. Curiosity killed the cat. Or sometimes people are curious about marijuana or LSD or something else like that. So they try it, and then they get all confused and they get dizzy and they fall down, they hit their head, and then they cracks their head, and then the rest of their life they're like a vegetable. Curiosity killed the cat. So, next thing you should write down, look before you leap. Look before you leap. Look before you leap, okay? And then one more. Before you go in, think about how you're going to get out. Before you go in, think of how you're going to get out. So these are three little wisdom phrases. Look before you leap. Before you go in, think about how you're going to get out. And curiosity killed the cat. Explain what these three things mean with examples. Maybe examples from your own life or examples of people that you know. You got that, Krishna? Okay, so then continue. Prabhulika, sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
So soon after she poked those glowing things, there was blood oozing from the hole. And then the king asked what happened, and then he found out that Sukanya was the cause for this. And then they offered their prayers to
Why did they, what caused them to try and figure out what happened?
Because I think they heard someone screaming, I think.
No. Yes, Kavya.
I think the sage put something on them that they couldn't. They weren't pain.
They weren't what?
Pain.
Why?
They couldn't go to the bathroom.
They couldn't poop. They couldn't poop.
Huh?
So they got constipated. Anyone ever been constipated? Huh? Madhava? Anyone ever been constipated? You know what constipated means? Huh? Anybody know what constipated means? Huh? You know? Do you know? Yes. What's it mean? You can't poop. You go, nothing happens. Huh?
flowing things.
No. Chayavana Muni caused everyone to become constipated. And everyone noticed that they say, are you constipated? Yeah. Are you constipated? Yeah. Are you constipated? Yeah. We're all constipated. There must be something wrong. Right? No, not everybody gets constipated at the same time. So they realized something is wrong. So the king was a smart guy. He said, that means someone must have, this is a holy place, and everybody here is constipated. That means someone must have committed some kind of an offense. You see? What is that called? That's called inference. I-N-F-E-R-E-N-C-E. Write it down. Inference. I-N-F-E-R-E-N-C-E. What does it mean to infer? Samart. Yes, an educated guess, right? Is that what you were going to say, Prabhu? Is that what you were going to say? No? Huh? Yeah, okay. Yes?
What's really the difference between guessing, inferences, and speculation?
Well, inference can be speculation. But if it's, let's say, very rigid or very intelligent inference, in other words, if you see smoke, you can infer that there's fire, right? Now the king, he saw that everyone was constipated. They couldn't poop. And he realized that something is wrong. Everyone doesn't get constipated at the same time. So someone must have committed some kind of an offense in this holy place. See how smart he was? So he inferred it from the fact that there was something extraordinary that happened that causes, let's say, discomfort and maybe even pain. That means that someone must have committed an offense. Okay, go ahead, Prabhupada.
And then when they found out that Sukanya was the cause for the change,
Cause for the what?
for the problem.
Problem, yeah.
And then the king offered his daughter to the sage.
Well, how did they find out about the sage? Yes. Okay, Shivani.
Because the king was why is this happening? So then Sophia stepped up and she was like, I'm the reason why because I poked the glow worms. And then the king realized that it was Chayavana who was inside.
No, the blood came out.
Yeah,
right.
blood oozed out of his
So-
nose, and he realized that it was Chayavana inside the hole. So he was trying to appease him.
Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead, Prabhupada.
And then after that, so the king offered his daughter to Jayavana. And then one day the Ashwini Kumaras came to visit.
But he was like an old guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in this, like me, he's in this. Yeah. So, and she's a young girl. She's like maybe 15 years old. So, go ahead. And he could see that she wasn't happy. That, she married an old guy like that. And she was forced to do it by her father. Go ahead. Then all of a sudden they leave her. They all leave and she's alone with this old guy, and she's expected to be his wife. Yeah, go ahead.
And then one day the Ashwini Kumaras came to visit Jayavana Muni.
Who are they?
They're the heavenly physicians.
Yeah, they're so-called Ayurvedic doctors, yeah. But they're demigods. Or they're sub-demigods. They're not like top demigods, but they are demigods. Okay, go ahead.
And then the Muni requested them to give him back his youth. So then the Ashwini Kumaras took him to a lake where they bathed to regain Chayavana Muni's youth. And when they came out, Sukanya could not recognize her husband, so she surrendered unto the Ashwini Kumaras, and being satisfied with Sukanya's chastity, they introduced her to her husband, and soon Chayavana Muni,
He became a young man,
a young
a
man.
handsome young man with a nice body.
And then the next homework.
So why did you do that? Why did I give you that homework? quiet?
To figure out about the fountain of youth.
Because this fountain of youth is something that's in the Vedic scriptures that many years later people heard about such a thing in Europe. So Ponce de Leon was looking for the fountain of youth when he came across the Atlantic Ocean. He heard that it might be on the other side of the ocean, right? But see, they were all looking. What was Christopher Columbus looking for when he?
India.
India, right. So they were looking for India because the fountain of youth is somewhere in India, right, according to this story. But they called, the Puerto Rico and Florida, they called it the West Indies, right? And then some American Indians that Ponce de Leon talked to said that it was in a place called Bimini. Now, where's Bimini?
Florida.
Somewhere in the
Somewhere in Florida.
Florida.
Like, is it Miami? Is it the Everglades? Or, who knows where it is? Actually, it was in India. Go ahead.
And then the next homework was read Bhagavad Gita 3.17 and answer the questions. So satisfaction in the self means that a person is satisfied within. Self, lowercase, means us, the soul, and uppercase self refers to Krishna.
Okay, now, what are the different levels of self-realization? We've discussed this before. What are the different levels of self-realization? Okay, just go ahead first.
Not exactly sure what you mean by that, but I
When
think
we talk about self-realization, what does it mean?
it's like understanding who you really are.
Okay,
So-
you're not answering the question, but go ahead.
So basically, the first level is understanding that you're not the body
Okay.
and that you're the soul.
Yes.
And then the next level is understanding that there are two knowers in this body. There's the soul and the super soul.
Yes.
And then the next point is understanding the relationship between the soul and the super soul and the body. So understanding that the soul is eternally the servant of the super soul.
Well, the third part you didn't get right. The first two parts are perfectly right. Third part is understanding that the material nature, which includes the body.
The material nature and the body are all coming from the super soul.
Not only that, but
But-
the soul,
And the soul also.
the jiva soul is coming from Krishna, and the super soul is also coming from Krishna. So the top stage, so all of that is self-realization. It's just not realizing I'm not the body. It's realizing I'm not this body. I'm a pure soul, and realizing that in this body there's a super soul also, which is an expansion of Krishna, and that the material body, my soul, super soul, is all coming from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the full concept of self-realization. It's not just, I'm not this body. That's good, but that's just one aspect of self-realization. Is that what you're going to say? Oh, okay. Good thing I didn't call on you. Okay, go ahead, Prabhupada. You should remember all these things. I mean, these are things we studied already. So when I ask a question, only two people raised their hand, that means, did you know the answer? Kind of. Almost is not good enough. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
And then when your consciousness is purified, one becomes fully confident of their eternal position and relationship to the Supreme. The meaning of your duty becomes self-illuminated means that one has no obligations to the Vedic injunctions and he is focused only on serving Krishna. Such a person is not connected with loss or gain while performing his duty, nor is he disturbed by obstacles.
Very good. Very good. That's it? Okay. All right. Samarth. Samartha is an IT student.
So the homework was read the Chavana Muni story from Srimad Bhagavatam and write down the synopsis of it.
What's the synopsis?
Summary.
Yes, very good.
And then I did 2 of the questions in the read the Bhagavad Gita 3.17 and answer the following questions. So in the 9th canto it explains about the story of the Chavana Muni. So in 9.3.11 in Srimad Bhagavatam it says that thereafter...
Notice that Samartha is giving the exact place in the Srimad Bhagavatam where the story is. That's very important. You have to always give the source of the information, like he did. Go ahead.
Thereafter, sometime having passed, the Ashwini Kumar brothers, the heavenly physicians, who are also known as the Ayurvedic doctors, happened to come to Chavana Muni's ashram. After offering them respectful obeisances, Chavana Muni requested them to give him youthful life, for they were able to do so. The heavenly physicians, like the Ashwini Kumaras, could give youthful life even to one who was advanced in age. So therefore there is a fountain of youth that Ponce de Leon did not find.
Right? Very good. So, did Chavana Muni give them something? Okay, Shivan.
Somarasa, it's like a nectar that a lot of demigods want.
Somarasa, right. So if you drink Somarasa, it increases your lifespan 10,000 years. So that's called a quid pro quo. Let's write that down. Quid pro quo. This is a Latin term that's used in English, especially if you're following the impeachment of President Trump. Quid pro quo. Q-U-I-D. Next word, pro, P-R-O. Quo, Q-U-O. Quid pro quo. What is that? Quo. Q-U-O. Yes. Yes. I scratch your back, you scratch my back. Right.
Isn't the soma juice or something from the moon?
No, you can find it on the moon. It's not a juice, it's a liquor. It's a type of liquor. It's a rejuvenating drink. What does that mean? Rejuvenating drink. What does it mean to become rejuvenated? Augustine? Makes you feel what? Fresh and?
Good.
No, fresh and young, not just good. Oh, yeah, good also, but it makes you younger. Everyone's looking for this. I mean, if you knew how to make samarasa, you'd be probably the richest guy in the world. You want to learn how to make it?
Yeah.
Huh? I'm not going to tell you, though. Okay, so, go ahead.
So, the self is your soul, and the lowercase self is your soul, and the uppercase self is the super soul. One who is satisfied in the self means that you understand who you are, soul or the jiva. You also understand your constitutional position to the Lord, and you are satisfied. If you purify your consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme. His duty thus becomes self-illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to the Vedic injunctions.
So what does it mean, self-illuminated? What's that mean?
Self-illuminated.
Is this a small s or a big S? Self-illuminated.
Small.
Okay. So what does it mean, self-illuminated?
Like soul. Like his duty like there's no more material duties?
Well, no, that would be, anyway, self-illuminated means that you don't need any outside light.
Mm-hmm.
The light is within.
Yes.
So because you become conscious that you have an eternal relationship with Krishna, and Krishna is present in your heart as the supersoul. And what is the supersoul? Supersoul is the origin of all intelligence and knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So you have an internal light now. Before there was internal darkness. All right? Can you see what's happening inside your body, Augustia?
No.
So there's no light. Right? You would have to cut yourself open and open it up. What's happening? But you're not going to do that, right? But when you become self-illuminated, you realize that Krishna is in your heart, and Krishna is the source of knowledge and remembrance. So another homework, third homework. First homework was,
Like, right.
which one?
The first homework was explain what
Follow the lemming, right? Second homework is 3 different, let's say, proverbial sayings used in English, right? What? Proverbial. What's a proverb? Proverb is a short statement of wisdom given usually by our ancestors. Krishna didn't write down the second homework.
I did. I wrote it down too. But I didn't know there was homework.
Well, you better write it down. And the third homework now is to... Well, no, the third homework was... did I give you a third homework? I was going to give it to you, right? Just now, yeah. So, let's see. Who was reading? Samarth was reading, right? What was the last thing you read? What was the last thing you read? Yes, self-illuminated. Okay, so look up Bhagavad Gita 15:15. 15th chapter, 15th verse. Yes, Samarth? Okay, let me hear it. So it's that second line that you have to analyze to do this homework. Sarvasicham hridisani visvod. Matak smitir jnanam apohanam cha. What does that mean? Smritir, jnana, apohana. What do those 3 words mean? Yeah. Well, it's remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Where does that come from? Yeah, but where is Krishna? It's in your heart, the supersoul, right? So supersoul is the origin of knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So that's your homework, is to study that verse and understand what it says. 15:15, chapter 15, verse 15. So when you get self-illuminated, by studying that verse, you answer the question what it means to be self-illuminated. There is a metaphor for knowledge. The metaphor means knowledge is compared to a light. Like when you say, Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Demasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yona Prachodayat. This is a part of the one Gayatri mantra that's first offering, pranam or obeisances to Savitur, the sun. Why? because the sun is a source of light. And light is compared to knowledge. Okay? So, therefore, it says self-illuminated. That means you have the light within you. You don't need an outside light. The light is within you. So you have to explain this phrase, self-illuminated. Got it, Agastya? You got it, Krishna? Did you get this homework number 2? You got it?
I wrote it down here, so I just told look at this page number.
How are you going to remember where that page is, like 1 week from now, when you're going to do your homework?
I said like look at page 35, and that's where.
Oh, okay. Okay, so finish, Samarth. You finished? I've finished. Okay. All right, we're going to stop because Adidev, who you don't know who he is. Oh, okay. You're going to find out who Adidev is. Has prepared breakfast for Krishna, and now he's going to share Krishna's breakfast prasadam with you, every one of you. So this is exciting. We're going to be surprised to see what this prasadam is. So you have your homework for next week, right? Haribo. I don't know, what do you mean next week? Tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going down there. Yeah, I'm going to also have Adidev's special prasad.
Are you joking?
Sita Priti Devi, she did everything. I didn't do it.
But